During review part 2 of the Ashes of Outland cards, we get to see the cutest Demon Hunter, a legendary Necromancer, a rogue secret, and so much more. Are you prepared?
Huh, this should be interesting.
We'll look at the cards for this review in just a moment, but real quick, let me note that we do card reviews a bit differently here. Rather than the standard 5-star ratings for the cards, we ask 3 questions Hearthstone players really want to know. First, would the card fit into one of the current meta decks, Tier 1 through Tier 3 decks per HS Replay's tier list? So, is it meta now? This helps us gauge the card's power level a bit. Second, will the card fit into a meta deck once the expansion comes out? Meaning, from what we know so far, is it powerful enough to create or support a new meta archetype? So is it meta later? And third, most importantly, does it inspire or enable crazy, experimental, or meme decks? So is it meme deck worthy? Each card will get a yes or no to these questions. There's a time code for quick reviews with puns in the description below for those of you without much time. For everyone else, let's get into the main reviews. Let's start off with some Demon Hunter cards, the first of which mimics the glorious art behind me and gives this amazing dialogue from the cinematic trailer.
But if you dare enter my realm, you are not! No, that's not what I was going to say. I should never have taught you to demon hunt.
This cute guy can apparently get pretty angry, as we get to see here. Furious Felfen is a 2-mana 3/2 Murloc with a battle cry to gain +1 attack and rush if your hero attacked this turn. We've never had a rushing 2-drop with this aggressive of a stat line. The closest minion was Underbelly Fence, which becomes a 3/4 with rush if you're holding a card from another class. With the Demon Hunter hero power and the number of tools Demon Hunters will have to attack, it will not be difficult to get the bonus attack and rush on this. Though, unless you have Twin Slice from the Initiate set we covered in the Demon Hunter introduction, the link is in the description, it will often be difficult to drop this guy on turn 2 with the bonus effects. On turn 2, it's usually preferred to have more than 2 health on minions that are fighting for the board, so this will probably be used more frequently on turn 3 or 4 to remove a bigger minion. It's a bit weak in the late game, but 4 attack for just 2 mana will probably still be extremely useful. As noted in our previous review, there are no Demon Hunter decks in the current meta, so all of these have a kind of error cannot be divided by 0 status in regards to the current meta. So this and all other Demon Hunter cards will just get asterisks for meta now status. With the card draw ability the other cards for Demon Hunter has, especially with Feast of Souls, I think this will slot in nicely to ensure mana efficient turns. I think Felfen will find his way into an aggressive, draw heavy Demon Hunter meta deck. As for memes, yes. In Wild, we can combine this with Snowflipper Penguin, Murloc Tinyfin, and a bunch of the other super cute minions, and gasp at the horror as our opponents mercilessly kill the cutest minions in the game. But on a more serious meme note, okay, there don't appear to be any other Murlocs in the Demon Hunter cards yet. But with this guy, we can build a draw-heavy Murloc synergy deck. Your opponents are not prepared for the Murlocs. So remember the Skull of Gul'dan from the previous review? This next card is the ability Illidan gained when he obtained the skull, allowing him to turn into a raging demon. Metamorphosis is a 5-mana spell for Demon Hunters to swap their hero power to deal 5 damage, which swaps back after 2 uses. So Demon Claws becomes Demonic Blast, a skill 5 times the effectiveness of Mage's Fire Blast. I'm not sure if I'm happy or sad that Clockwork Automaton is rotating to Wild, but that would be a scary combination. As long as it works like other hero power swaps, it should be possible to cast the original hero power and then the hero power that gets swapped to in the same turn. So with sufficient mana, you should be able to do 6 damage total from hero powers each turn for 2 turns if you choose to. No Demon Hunters get to transform in the current meta, but plenty will use this as a finisher or pesky minion removal upgrade in the new meta. As for memes, Blackwalled Pixie and Clockwork Automaton will rotate to Wild as this set comes out, so building a deck around that won't work. However, Grizzled Wizard will still be in Standard, so it would technically be possible to give our opponent one of our hero powers. We did have a lot of fun swapping our amazing Reno hero power with our opponent a while back, link to that in the description. But this is probably a worse idea. The only thing I'm really curious about is if we give our opponent the Demonic Blast hero power, would the hero power revert to their original hero power or to the Demonic Claws from Demon Hunter? We may have to try it just to find out. Let the meme experiments begin? Speaking of questionable choices, the next card is almost Fool's Bane for warriors from One Night in Karazhan. It's Warglaves of Azzinoth, a 5-mana, 3/4 weapon which allows your hero to attack again after attacking a minion. It's essentially the same, but the last attack in a turn can always attack heroes. Stack the hero power, both Twin Slice buffs, and a Chaos Strike on this, and you'll be able to kill up to 4 7-health minions in a single turn. You might die doing so, but hey, it's an option. Of course, if you just want to go face, this is a slightly more flexible Assassin's Blade. There can't be any foolish Demon Hunters in the current meta, but what about the upcoming meta? Demon Hunters have a number of options for weapons revealed so far. Normally, I would relegate this to the same fate as Fool's Bane, a card that had no chance in any meta, but with the amount of lifesteal Demon Hunters will have access to, it might be a serious consideration to protect their board and do loads of damage. I'm really on the fence about this one, but I think the amount of attack buffs Demon Hunters can stack on this, paired with lifesteal healing, just barely pushes it into meta viable category. As for a meme deck, with the help of Horde Pillager, we have hero weapon damage potential that has never been seen before. We can build a deck with aggressive minions which are only allowed to smork, while our hero and spells deal with all the enemy minions. We can call it Protect the Payload! Protect the Minions. It'll be interesting to try, and it should be sufficiently peculiar enough to meet our meme deck requirements. Now for the last Demon Hunter card for this review, Pit Commander. This massive demon is a 9-mana 7/9 taunt that summons a demon from your deck at the end of your turn. Hopefully, you still have demons in your deck when you have enough mana to play this. Raging Fell Screamers can help this come down a few turns earlier, and this could help you summon Hulking Overfiends and Imprisoned Antians from your deck. If the Imprisoned Antians work like the Darkness, they will still start as dormant for 2 turns, and then wake up to deal 10 damage. There are no Demon Hunters in the current meta for Pit Commanders to help. As for the future meta, there aren't many big demons other than Hulking Overfiends and Imprisoned Antian at the moment. So a big demon build for demons seems bad. This expansion probably will have a few more good-sized demons that will make this more exciting, but with what we know thus far, this guy will not get to join the upcoming meta. As for memes, sure. This will fit nicely into a deck of 100% demons and spells only meme deck, as it will help thin the deck and give it a slight chance to close out the game effectively. We'll go ahead and give it meme deck worthy status. Is there a spell-heavy druid deck that could use even more card draw? Well, Fungal Fortunes is here to improve their outlook. Fungal Fortunes is a 2-mana spell to draw 3 cards, but discard any minions drawn. This is Book of Specters, but it prioritizes spells rather than minions. At the moment, there's not a druid deck that could perform well with just spells. But, just like mages run Book of Specters in decks with some spells, tearing up a little when one of their great cards gets burned, the risk of discarding a minion may be worth running such efficient card draw. Now, would this find its way into the current meta decks? Embiggen Druid and Quest Druid wouldn't really want it, but it could potentially help Token Druid get to their board flood and buff cards faster. The deck isn't hurting for card draw with Aeroponics at the moment, but at the risk of losing a minion or 2 on occasion, this would make the archetype capable of finishing games quicker, more consistently. I believe it would be a meta now card. So, will this see play in the future meta? Token Druid is only losing Mulch Muncher, Landscaping, and Dendrologist. Those losses certainly hurt, but with a more consistent card draw, I think Token Druid will still be a meta deck that would be happy to run this. If enough high power spells are released, we may see a new deck archetype that can use this effectively, form from the Ashes as well. Even with cards from the Year of the Raven rotating out, there will still be plenty of spells left to make a pure spell druid deck. Actually, quite a few of the most powerful choose one cards are spells, so we'll make a pure spell quest druid and see if we can make it work. Get ready for some mushroom memes. With Master's Call rotating to wild, hunters will lose an amazing tool to consistently draw beasts from their deck. Fortunately, there will be a new way to selectively draw beasts from their deck. Scavenger's Ingenuity is a 2-mana hunter spell to draw a beast and give it +3/+3. This card may actually see more play than Master's Call, because it allows you to run more minions than just beasts to get the quality effect from it, while selectively drawing the exact beast you want if you built your deck around it. The buff makes whatever you just drew a lot scarier too. Honestly, I think this would slot pretty well into the current form of Dragon Hunter as a replacement to tracking. It can help thin the deck by drawing Phase Stalker more consistently, or pull Life Drinker to help do that extra damage with heal that might just close out the game. If it doesn't, the buffed beast will still be challenging to deal with. Of course, it can't draw Leroy Jenkins like tracking can, but the consistency and knowing what you'll draw make it a good alternative. Scavenger's Ingenuity would see play in the current meta. Dragon Hunter won't be losing much other than Leroy Jenkins, and it is one of the most powerful decks at the moment. Highlander Hunter, Quest Hunter, and decks built to capitalize on both the Hunter legendaries, which have been announced, we'll cover those soon, will also benefit from having this in their deck. This will definitely be a meta later card. As for meme deck potential, this can be used to draw King Crush from our deck and turn him into an 11/11. If we duplicate the Gargantuan King with Ramkahen Wild Tamer and Hunting Party, we can practically fill our board with 11/11 King Crushes. Not a bad thing to be able to drop turn after turn. Though this setup is even better when paired with one of the Hunter legendaries we'll be covering soon. Massive charging meme decks are coming soon. Are you excited about the primes for each class, but think one copy is insufficient? Well, if you pair the prime predecessor with this next card, you'll be able to double your value. Terran Gorefiend is a 3-mana 3/4 with a battlecry to destroy all friendly minions. His Death Rattle will resummon them all with +1/+1. While this is not the only reason Spellbreaker is going to the Hall of Fame, it certainly makes sense that a lot of the really cool effects from the current expansion are at risk to silence. But if you can kill Terran Gorefiend off without getting silenced, this card is bonkers. Mechanical Whelp and Mechano Egg will both rotate to wild, but there will still be a lot of other Death Rattle cards that will get impressive double triggers from a card like this. Looking through the current list of meta decks, there aren't many that would be willing to take the tempo loss from playing this and waiting for his Death Rattle. This also has a love-hate relationship for Resurrect Priests, as it helps get the stuff in their res pool while buffing their board in a turn, but he himself would be pretty bad in the res pool. Though Terran Gorefiend and a Forbidden Words the turn after flooding the board with Zarek's Cloning Gallery would be a terrifying twist. As they run Psychopomp, which is bad for the res pool already, I think they might consider it. Another deck that might consider Gorefiend is Highlander Warrior, as they have a number of big minions and a few options to trigger his Death Rattle right away. He probably would be a meta card right now. And when deck building with this guy in mind is an option, there are quite a few ways to abuse his effects. Extra healing from Kartut Defenders, absurd extra value with Grave Runes, and an extra Tyrian Fordring, and many other options are awaiting this card. There will surely be a meta deck that develops to use Gorefiend effectively. In addition to getting an extra prime card in each class, there are tons of ways to meme with a card like this. Perhaps we'll build a 9 lives hunter to get extra copies of him, paired with a board of locusts or hounds? Or maybe we'll double dip on Dragon Rider Tauritha buffs for a Dragon Paladin. Shall we return to Waxadread Death Rattle Rogue, albeit weaker without some of the Death Rattle triggers? The options are nearly endless. Let's get ready for some fun meme experiments. Secrets are back for rogues! The only time we've seen secrets for rogues in the past was kobolds and catacombs, but it looks like Outland found some quality ashes after the candles all melted? The first of hopefully several rogue secrets is Ambush, a 2-mana spell that summons a 2/3 ambusher with poisonous after your opponent plays a minion. Most of the time, it will be triggered on your opponent's next turn, giving you a quick return on your investment, while also enabling a number of rogue secret synergy cards we'll be covering in the next review to get even more value. Although the effect is nice, this is a bit too weak by itself to make it into the current forms of Galakron and Malygos rogues. It would not make the cut for current meta decks. However, taking into consideration the secret synergy cards that have been revealed thus far, and the challenging decisions your opponent will have to make about playing a quality minion into a poisonous minion, I believe this will find its way into a meta deck once the set comes out. And for memes, this will be absolutely vital to our secret synergy deck paired with the Rogue Legendary, which will shadow step and duplicate to keep our continual flow of Christmas tree secrets to punish any and every play from our opponent. It certainly won't be a meta viable deck, but it'll be a ton of fun. For their role in summoning demons to Azeroth so frequently, I suppose it's only fitting that the next card goes to Warlocks. The Dark Portal is a 4-mana spell to draw a minion. If you have at least 8 cards in hand, the minion costs 5 less. 4 mana to draw a minion is pretty expensive, unless you've built your entire deck around one specific minion, in which case this would be great. But the real value of this card is in the cost reduction, meaning that it's almost certainly only going to see play in big hand Warlock decks. With the rotation of Mountain Giant to Wild, the archetype is taking a big hit, but almost all the other big hand Warlock synergy cards will still be in Standard. In the current meta, the Galakron decks would not give this card a second glance. However, Hand Warlock is a tier 3 deck, so it just barely qualifies. Given the synergy with Valdris Felgorge and the surprise discount while drawing, this would be a consideration for the deck, but as they're currently built, there are too many minions that are not exciting to get the discount. A Twilight Drake would be exciting as it would be a 0-cost big body to drop, but the other 4 mana and less minions would all feel terrible to draw with this. Without a significant rework, this would not fit into the current Handlock decks. As for the future meta, Handlock is taking a huge hit with Mountain Giant going away, and we haven't seen any other new support cards for the archetype, so I'm afraid it won't be powerful enough to survive the new meta. Even if it does, I'm not sure if this will make the cut. I don't think the Dark Portal would be a meta later card either. However, if some more support for Handlock is announced later, this might shift to being a meta later card. And memes, we will definitely use this on turn 4 after double tapping to help us draw the only minion in our deck, Archvillain Rafaam. We'll play him on turn 5 and have a handful of legendary minions to start dropping right away. Bonus points if we randomly get a 3-drop legendary to play on the same turn. There are other silly things we'll be able to do with this as well, but this is the most exciting coming to mind at the moment. Our last card for today is a warrior weapon? Well, anyways, Bulwark of Azeroth is a 3-mana 1/4 weapon, with the effect that whenever your hero would take damage, this loses durability instead. Embiggen Druid, meet your nightmare. This is absolutely terrible against a lackey or token deck, but in matchups where the opponent is dropping big ones, this will buy a lot of time for a board clear or swing turn. I'm pretty sure Galakron Warrior wouldn't want this, as they would prefer to drop minions or awaken for this mana cost, but it probably could find a home in Highlander Warrior as a way to buy an extra turn or two before using a board clear. There's not much weapon removal in the meta at the moment, and some versions might consider replacing Livewire Lance or Evil Quartermaster with this. It's really borderline, but we'll go ahead and give this meta now status. With Dr. Boom Mad Genius rotating to Wild, Highlander and Control Warrior will lose one of their most powerful late game tools. But Control Warrior has been an archetype that has managed to find a way in most metas. So, is this powerful enough to make the cut? With the prevalence of lackey decks unlikely to fall, and the small wide boards Demon Hunters are likely to be summoning as they dive into the meta, I'm afraid this is unlikely to get enough value in most matchups to be worth including. I'm afraid it won't be meta later. However, we can punish those embiggen druids and resurrect priests with our can't touch this Control Warrior. With the help of Horde Pillagers to get this back once it's destroyed, and Upgrade and Captain Greenskin to gain extra durability, we can take our time laughing at massive minions building up on our opponent's side of the board before clearing them. With this many weapon synergy cards in our deck, we'll just have to pray that this is not the one of that's hiding at the bottom of our deck. Certainly not meta, but it will be a fun meme deck to try out. Now, onward to the quick reviews. Furious Felfin is too cute for the current meta, waddles into the new meta, and leads his tribe to glorious memes. Metamorphosis will melt enemies in the new meta, and will probably melt us with Grizzled Wizard's help in meme decks. Warglaves of Azzinoth are on the edge of meta viability, but they probably cut their way in. However, they certainly help us protect the payload, minions, in our meme deck. Pit Commander doesn't make it out of the pit until the expansion hits, and no one wants to listen to his commands in the new meta, but he should be able to summon a few meme games. Fungal Fortunes would glow in the current meta, will bring fortune to the future meta, and will be devoured by spell-only memes. Scavenger's Ingenuity would be scavenged for the current meta, is an ingenious inclusion in the upcoming meta, and will buff some massive charging memes. Terran Gorefiend would destroy a number of current meta decks, will certainly be summoned to a few future meta decks, and raises a number of meme options from the dead. Ambush can't take the current meta by surprise, but will probably have enough synergy to set off effective traps in the upcoming meta, and dig holes for Christmas trees to rout our enemies in meme decks. The Dark Portal would get shut down in the current meta, needs support to have a chance in the new meta, but will enable us to summon a hand and deck of legendaries on turn 5 with Arc Villain Rafam in meme decks. Bulwark of Azzinoth might be just appealing enough for some Highlander warriors if it could join the current meta, but lackeys and demon hunters are likely to overrun this in the upcoming meta. However, Horde Pillagers will help us do some serious can't touch this memes. And that's a wrap. There have already been a ton more cards revealed, and we'll be covering them soon. If you enjoyed, be sure to tap that like button, smash that subscribe button, and share your perspective in the comments below. You're awesome. Thank you for watching, and have an awesome day.